In July, I read further into some of my favorite urban fantasy series and tackled some more paranormal romance. Fifth Grave Past the Light by Dorinda Jones, the fifth book in the Charlie Davidson urban fantasy series. This series is about a private investigator who also happens to be the Grim Reaper. So they're half mystery PI books and half paranormal fighting the forces of evil books, which is a lot to pack into one book series. She does explain that the main character is ADD, which is the only way I think you could ignore the fact that some demon is usually poised to destroy the world and or something you love, and so you go off to solve a murder mystery while that's just pending. I really liked the first book in the series, loved the second, and then the next two wobbled between lurg and meh. But this fifth one, Charlie Davidson is back, baby! 1,000 times better than the last two books. I'm closing in on catching up to what is written, and I just know that in the next book or two, Mr. Wong, the ghost who just hangs out in the corner of her apartment doing nothing but staring at the wall, he's gonna do something epic. I can just feel it. Iron Kiss, the third book in the Mercy Thompson urban fantasy series by Patricia Briggs. I love this series. I do not like this cover though. Anyway, this series has a kick-ass female mechanic / coyote form taker, some sexy werewolves, and a plethora of other supernatural creatures. There's 8 books in this series, so I need to catch up. I own a smattering of books across the series, so as I get to them, I already have some. The rest I'll have to check out from the library, which... Anyway, back to this specific book in the series. It's good, especially the last few chapters, the really extremely dark last few chapters. How to Run with a Naked Werewolf, the third book in the Naked Werewolf paranormal romance series by Molly Harper. Molly Harper writes the popular Jane Jameson vampire books. This is another one of her series, unsurprisingly about werewolves. I'm hit or miss on the series, but this one is really good. It's about the Pack Doctor, a human who is hiding from her past, and when her past looks like it's catching up with her, she goes back on the run, where she runs into yet another werewolf. The male lead in this one is especially endearing and dog-like. The Beast in Him by Shelley Lawrenston, the second book in the Pride series, paranormal romance with a lot of shapeshifters. This series is ridiculous, which is probably half the reason I read them. The world building is not bad, but it's ridiculous. This book is ridiculous and not all that good. And yet I will most likely be reading the third book in the series. That doesn't mean you should. Take my warning now. These books are ridiculous. Run for the hills, don't be like me. Lord's Fall by Thea Harrison, the fifth book in the Elder Races paranormal romance series. I like this series a lot. Number 1 and number 4 are probably my favorites. Number 1 is about a were-dragon, and number 4 is about a djinn and an oracle. This fifth one continues the story of the were-dragon and has the same problem that most books that follow up on an existing love story have for me. You might have an external conflict, but unless you totally break up the couple, there's too little internal conflict. Sure, maybe they get mad at each other, but it's lacking the relationship sizzle conflict that made things so interesting when the relationship was still being formed. I don't know, I've seen it done pretty well a couple of times, but this wasn't one of those times. It didn't really engage me. Caressed by Ice by Nalini Singh, the third book in the Psy-Changeling paranormal romance series. This paranormal world has your typical shape-shifting were-creatures, but it also has these people called Psys, who are a psychic race. They're connected to each other with a mind net. Think the internet, but it's driven by psychicness. They are also trained from a young age to have no emotions. This is one of the few romance series that I feel the Beast storyline that they're weaving across all the books is just as interesting as the romances, and I'm driven to read more to find out what's happening. This third book is a good addition to the series. If you like paranormal romance, check this series out. Okay, so what are some of your favorite urban fantasy series? I'm thinking of trying a new one out.